provide effective control. Okay, did everybody hear that?
Yes, yes, it's lovely. Thank you, Fran.
Oh no, I've just the other recording in progress now. Where am I up to? Okay, so we ask the vaccines provide effective control of the disease and that they be available to all. And we ask that the health workers be kept safe and have the strength and courage to continue their heroic efforts. We ask, please, that you protect and bless all of our families and friends. So graciously hear these our prayers that we ask through the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
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 Okay, I'd like now to hand over to our very industrious and talented secretary, Karen Macalister, who has a very, in case you hadn't figured out, who has a very close connection and relationship with our esteemed guest.
Vinaka Pam, Vinaka, and thank you for your welcome. It was beautifully done, and your accent was perfect. Very, very nice. No Australian twang there at all. Okay, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us. It's this is our second. This is your live session, and we hope to have many more. And we think it's a lovely thing to do. As we progress through them, I'm sure that we will learn lots about people. So I'm going to share my screen now and introduce you to our guest. We'll just watch a few slides before I'll come back and join you again. Okay. So you all seeing that screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is your life.
This is your life. Just a minute while I put it on presentation view. Okay, that's better. Okay, so this particular esteemed person that we're going to talk about tonight started her, or her family started their life in Fiji in 1867. You can see there on the screen is a Thomas family tree, which was created in 2001 for a reunion of some 250 descendants of the Thomas clan. So she's descended from, on her mother's side, from a Thomas who was originally born in Wales in 1808. They then went to settle in Wales in 1842, and then by 1867 had migrated to Fiji to settle. There were four brothers. Oops, sorry, I didn't count. 3 girls and 4 boys that were born into this family. And so our guest is actually the 5th generation born in Fiji to this particular group of family. On the father's side, the Macalister side came from Scotland originally, from a little island called Isla, and then moved to New Zealand with his family. And he then recuperated in Fiji after World War II. This is a picture of this person's mother and father. In the top left-hand corner, you can see a little baby girl. And then on the right-hand side, you can see her dressed in a beautiful little smocked dress, with which I'm sure her mother would have made, as she was a beautiful seamstress, with a little boy sitting at her feet. That is her brother. So innocent, and you wouldn't think that butter would melt in their mouths. On the left, at the bottom of the screen, is the front yard of our house. Of the house, sorry, I'm going to get mixed up with ours and hers. We lived at 455 Waman Road. That's where all of us were, I think, born and raised. It was a beautiful house. Our memories of it are very good. I mean, are wonderful as a growing up situation. In the top left-hand corner is a picture of the first three children, the brother and the little sister and the little fairy there on the right-hand side. And you wouldn't think that little fairy, as I said, butter would melt in her mouth. You see her yawning there in the other picture with her mother and father. So cute. And then in the bottom is a picture of all four of us, of the family, sorry.
Already.
I knew I was going to do this, I'm sorry. So I might as well just continue as us. So this is us at the bottom here. It looks like it was Sheena's first Holy Communion. She's got her little dress and headdress on, etc. And then this is a picture that is one of the first school pictures that were taken. This was in 1951. Of what we believe might be the class. Not absolutely sure. I have circled a picture of our guest at the top there. You'll see a yellow circle. And the sister in the middle is Sister Macalister, who then became Sister Eileen. At this time, little boys were actually part of the kindergarten at the school at Pratt Street. And so they all sort of grew up together. And this is just another picture that shows you the whole school in front of the Pratt Street school. Some of you probably have never seen or were not aware of St. Joseph's. The beginnings of St. Joseph's were at this beautiful building that we all grew up in, which no longer is there, of course. And the extent of the school at the time, with all the little boys sitting in the front, I think, and mostly older girls as they went up to, I don't know what class it would have been. So this little girl grew up in this environment in Fiji with her parents and family. And there are many stories about her and what she may have got up to. Stories like making her brother smoke to see what it was like. She didn't smoke, but she made her brother smoke. To climbing the breadfruit tree to get the sweetest sap there, to make some chewing gum. And there's another story behind that story. To being so sick as a child, she was a very sick child at some stage, that her father promised to become a Catholic if she pulled through. And she might share the rest of that story with you when she comes on board. She achieved lots of things while she was at school. She was a very good student, apparently. And she also, one of her highest achievements was the Queen's Guide as part of guiding. Somebody said to me the other day that they didn't know what guiding was, but anyway, we all were members of the Girl Guide group, and the Queen's Guide was one of the highest awards. So here she is, here pictured receiving that award. And then at the bottom is the family picture of all 4 or 5, how many of us? 6 of us on that special day. And so that then ends that little sort of beginnings, and for me then to introduce Sister Allison Macalister, and this is her life this evening, and I'm sure by now you've all guessed who it is. So I'm going to unshare this at the moment, stop sharing, and I'm going to ask Alison a couple of questions to stop yawning, we can see you.
It's late where I am.
I know, you poor thing. Alison, welcome. And thank you so much for being part of it. We know that it's nearly, well, it's 9 o'clock where you are, which is really late, and you've had a busy day on your first day of the retreat. You know, we appreciate your time tonight. So thank you, Alison. So would you like to share with us any recollections of your worst or best day at school and why that might have been?
Yeah, I was thinking about that question because I was, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be on this video presentation. with all the wonderful past pupils of our school, some that were at school with me, and some maybe not. But it's wonderful to see you all, and also to have an opportunity to say thank you to you all for the way you live your lives, number one, and number two, the way you support our beloved school so well. Thank you so much. Now to my question that I've been asked. What was the worst recollection or best recollection of school? Well, the worst recollection I have of being at St. Joseph's Primary was on the day that Fiji had that major earthquake. I was a little girl, only 7 years of age, and we were seated in the kiosk having our lunch. And my memory is I was really so excited because the sisters that ran the house at Koroi, I've forgotten what it was, but they were the SMSM sisters, had given me a little miniature rosary beads, and I smuggled it into school. And at lunchtime, just as the earthquake began, I was showing my little miniature rosary beads to the girl beside me. I have no recollection of who she was, because once the ground began to shake, I forgot everything. It was terrifying. And the most terrifying thing of all was seeing at school that time, there was a pupil, and some of you will remember, called Mary Mcgrath, I think. And she was crippled, and she had that bone disease that the slightest movement would break a bone. And so she was in a wheelchair, and everybody ran like ants everywhere and just left her. And my picture's still very vivid in my mind of this poor girl. The wheelchair rolled into the garden that was in front of the school. And then I don't remember anything else, because the nuns appeared and ushered us into the school, into the church. And so I suppose perhaps with that incident, an unusual thing happened, which I still laugh about today, is the nuns were getting us to pray in the church, and the priest came in and he said, "Bloody hell, what are you doing with all these kids in here? Get them out of here." Bloody hell was a huge swear in our day, and it was the priest, and he said it in the church, and it worked. The nuns got us out immediately and took us to the top of the hill called Bishop something or other, I've forgotten now, Bishop's Court, I think, and that's where the sisters had their second house after the old place was sold, our beloved place where our memories have been. So that's my long answer to that question.
What was the year of that earthquake?
I think it might have been 1954, something like that, or 1952. Pam might know.
Look, I thought it was either 52 or 53, Alison. I'm not.
Yeah.
We had the hurricane one year, and the earthquake, or what they call it, a tsunami now, eh? And the earthquake.
Yeah, tsunami. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the earthquake.
I think it's 1952.
Yeah.
My mum was talking about.
52 was the hurricane. 53 was the earthquake.
Okay.
Well, there you go. Dale remembers. You know why Dale remembers? I'll tell you why Dale remembers. He fell in a hole up at Bishop's Court, and he's only a little boy. And I cried my eyes out, and because I thought he was going to get buried in the hole. And Sister Immaculata picked him out of the hole and had the two of us on her knee trying to console me. And Dale cried because I was crying. There you go.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
So who was your favourite teacher, Alison?
Well, that's a really hard thing to answer. I thought about that question.
You can skip it if you like.
But I know, I thought I'd just say Sister Dismas because she was very strict, but I learnt most from her really than from any other teacher because she was so thorough and punished me for having so many spelling mistakes, and made a joke of me for my bad use of Latin. I used to really fail my Latin, and she published one of my translations in the school magazine, which was the meaning of our motto. I think, is it Scientas et Spiritus or something like that. And I put down science with knowledge, and it wasn't really that. It was meant to be piety with knowledge.
Wow.
But yeah, her name came to my mind more than any other. But I didn't have any that I didn't like.
Okay. And what was your favorite subject or activity?
I think my favorite subject was biology, because I loved learning about plants and animals and things like that. And geography. You told everybody at the beginning that I was a very good student. I don't think I was. I was a D grade student, really, all through school. So I left school feeling that I was a big failure.
Well, you were actually used as an example to me in particular. You should be like your sister. She's so good. She does all her homework. She's a very good student, and I was a very poor student. Here you go. That's where that false impression came from. Okay, so so how did you dedicate yourself to religious life? I think there's a story attached to that, is there not?
I'm not sure, really. I suppose Mother Louie, our principal of the day, she used to, now and again, I don't know whether it was monthly or termly, call all of us one by one into her office to make sure the school fees would be paid. And when it was my turn this particular day, I think I was in Form 4, she didn't ask me about school fees. She said to me, Alison, have you ever thought about becoming a sister? And I looked at her and I said, no. And she said, I think you should think about it. She said, it will be a good thing for you. And so she went off and she got me today's actually the feast of Saint Therese of Lisieux. And she went off and got me a book of Saint Therese of Lisieux and a little exercise to do each night. And I suppose that was the beginning of me thinking about it. And then the Reverend Mother of the time, the provincial of the time, Sister Mary O'Neill was her name. She used to come on visitation every year. She would see any girls who were prospective religious candidates, and she called me in and talked to me, and I suppose that it grew from there, really. And then Orpha Stanlake and Mary Ryer wanted to join too, so the three of us chummed up and applied and were accepted, and I came, and I'm still here.
And how old were you then?
Oh, I was 19, because remember I had missed a lot of school. So I was 19 when I finished school.
Right. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again just to show you some pictures of Alison's profession and the time frame there. Oh. Okay. So Alison entered the St. Joseph's Sisters of Cluny Remuera, Auckland on the 6th of January 1965. And as she said, she was 19. And she was away from Fiji for 9 years. This is my recollection because I never saw her for 9 years, and returned for her final profession in 1975. And this is both her and Mary Ryer at the final profession in St. Sacred Heart Cathedral in Pratt Street, with the Mother Margaret Bradley, who was her provincial at the time. And this is her in Orphiston Lake, also with Mother.
Mary Ryan.
No, that's Orpha, I think.
No, it's not.
Isn't it? Oh, they're both Mary, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a picture of Orpha then, I'm sorry. And this is a picture of the family afterwards, taken outside Sacred Heart Cathedral. Actually, it's on the veranda of the convent, with Alison, my sister Sheena at the back, then my mother, Pat, and then me, and then Mother Margaret, then Judy Bentley at the back, and then my grandmother Nanny, Mrs. McCaig, and Dale on the end there. So it was a wonderful day of celebration. And then 50 years down the track, Alison has celebrated her services to the Cluny Sisters in 2017, and this is just a picture of her 50th celebration, which is a long time to share your life in that community. This is some of the sisters that you might know who have shared some of the time with Alison. Sister Pacifica on the left, she's a new sister from China who's spent time in Auckland with the community there. This is taken in Auckland last time I was there. Sister Irene in the middle, and Sister Frances, who's with us tonight, on the back left, back right. In the front is Sister Bernadette. I'm not sure whether Sister Bernadette spent much time in Fiji. Maybe she did.
She did.
And then Sister Stephen on the right, which a lot of you will know Sister Stephen. And so the last, I have a picture now. It's a little video, actually, just before we go into Emily, because Emily will take over now and ask questions. This is a video that shows the location of the community that Alison is part of now. It was a couple of years ago and since has gone through some renovations, and Alison can explain that, but it just shows you where the convent is, and it's located right next door to a primary school, and you'll hear the kids playing and laughing in the background. So we start off here is the house which is being renovated, but this is where Alison lives currently. This is in Tauranga. And their front garden, which has visits by lots of lovely birds and doves and things. It's quite beautiful, and it overlooks the bay. So as we go around, you'll see the blue there in between the trees. There's a beautiful bay that they have to walk towards. Beautiful trees around, really old trees. And this tree caught my imagination. This is an avocado tree. This is the biggest avocado tree I've ever seen in my life. And it was fascinating because it had so much fruit on it. And Alison says that it bears fruit most of the year round, which is very nice to have avocados most of the year round. Then beyond the fence here, as you see, as we go around the corner, on the other side of the fence is the school. So this is the St. Joseph's Primary School in Tauranga. All along there, they have beautiful grounds which go right on to the bay. So these kids have a wonderful place to play on in front of those buildings there. But beautiful old trees. And then as we come down, you'll see in the far ground, there's the grotto, with Our Lady there. And then this particular building here is a retreat, which is now run by Alison and her colleagues there in Tauranga. They have wonderful retreats. The next picture, not that one. This one here is just a current picture of the foreground with lots of flowers, and a picture which shows the whole community fairly recently. You'll see at the top left hand is Emily. Emily is Alison's right hand helper. There next to Emily is Sister Gabriel. And then Alison, sorry, I don't know a lot of the other people. Alison, Sister Bernadette. In the foreground on the left is Sister Irene. Next to her is Sister Stephen. And then on the extreme right is Sister Francis with some other people. Alison can talk to that picture if she likes. But I'd now like to hand over to Emily to complete the rest of the presentation. Thanks, Emily.
Vinaka Karen. Bula Vinaka everyone, and welcome again, Sister Allison.
Thank you, Emily.
Absolutely wonderful to see you again. It's been quite a while.
Yes.
I must say, Sister, just looking at the date when you entered the convent, I was a day old because I was actually born on the 5th of January in 65. So I was a day old when you entered the convent.
Oh.
Can I just take you back to your role, Sister? What is it that you do now? What's your role and what are the responsibilities that come with it?
Well, now at the moment, I hold the position of provincial leader of the province of New Zealand and the Philippines, which means that I'm responsible for all the sisters in our province. So we have we don't have as many now, only about 25 or 26 of us. There are, I think, 7 in the Philippines. There are only 4, 1, 2, yes, no, 5 in Fiji now. There's 10 of us here in New Zealand, and there's 5 in Rarotonga. So all those places I am responsible for. It's a bit like a manager, you know, of a certain area kind of thing, who is responsible and is the person to go to, if you like, for needs or
not mine,
problems or
yours.
So that's the position I hold at present. It's nearly finished. Normally it's for 4 years when you're first asked to fill this role. I've done the maximum, which is 3 lots of 4. So I finish next year, in December. I hope, anyway.
Sister, that's actually quite worrying to think that there's only 25 to 26 nuns within the order at the moment. So can I also ask them what your statistics are for the number of young women who are entering the convent and becoming your young novices?
Well, in that picture, last picture that Karen showed you, you saw some of those young ones that are with us at present. We actually are the envy of many people because we've got we have 5 young women. In that picture that Karen's just put back, there is the one she told you about that's already finally professed, Pacifica, and then there's the 3 they're junior professed. They've been professed for 2 years, 2 from China and 1 from Indonesia. And then in Rarotonga, there are 2 others who are both from Fiji, a Ratuman and a Fijian. So in some ways, we are blessed with that number of young people joining us. Because in the world today, not many are coming forward to live the kind of life that we live. And I suppose it's because our way of life was founded, for a purpose way back in history. And at the time they were founded, it was to service what the greatest needs were in the world today, in their day, which was basically education, nursing, and social work. Today, there's lots of social work, but there's also lots of lay people highly qualified to do that, nursing and all those things. So it looks like that our life is now more geared to the spiritual area, and also looking to see how we can serve in the needs of today. So things like the homeless, the street people, the hungry, all those kind of things that are present in our world today. But they're not, they're easy to talk about, but they're not so easy to actually do, because there are so many rules and regulations around them, and we have to fit into them. For example, aged care. We've had several aged care facilities in different places. We've had to close them one by one because government puts such a big strain on how they should be operated that we can't contain it. And so we amalgamate with others. That's how we've done it in Australia, in Melbourne, actually. So those are some of the reasons why. But, we just say we do our best with what we have. God knows what the future is, and we live in hope that we can continue on, but maybe it will be in a different way, and maybe not as plentiful as was in the past. But we don't know. It looks to us like the third world countries seem to produce a lot more people for religious life than the first world countries. And we actually are sitting in the mix, in the middle of all that, We're partly first world and partly third world.
Yeah. That's actually quite sad, I think, especially for a lot of us that have grown up under the guidance of the nuns. So you used to play the organ, sister. Do you still play that now?
I can play it, but I haven't. I always call myself a bush musician, because I just play. And then when I came to a country like New Zealand and listened to the organists that are playing, I think to myself, oh, well, I'd never reached that capacity. I can play and make it sound good, and people think I'm wonderful, but it's actually the organ doing it, because you pull out all the different pipes and it does the major work. But also, there's another reason, because my job, and I'm out of the place quite a bit, like 4 times a year. So it kind of mucks up the routine. So I really haven't put myself forward. But I haven't forgotten. I do like playing.
Oh, that's good. Do you play any other instruments as well?
Yeah, well, I can play the piano, and I used to be able to play the guitar, but I have a very crooked finger now there, and I can't place it in the chords. So I haven't played since that happened to my finger. I think I broke it somehow.
You think, sister, you didn't know?
Yeah, I don't remember.
You didn't go to the hospital when it was broken?
I remember doing it. I thought I was getting arthritis, and I was treated for it for a while. And then the doctor said to me, I don't think that's arthritis at all. I think you broke your bone. I'll fix it for you, he said, but your finger will stay straight. It won't bend. I said, no, thank you. I'd much rather have the crooked finger.
Have you visited your mother house in France?
Oh, yes, I have. I've been there several times. It's a wonderful place to go to. I went first when I was working in the Cook Islands because I was 25 years sister, and so I was allowed a sabbatical. So I went to the mother house for a special session for sisters in English, and it took us through all the historical places of where we began and where our mother foundress lived and all that. And that was really wonderful. I must say, it really showed the length and breadth of our congregation in terms of nationality, multicultural, and a chapel full of sisters, some dressed like myself, some in the full habit, etc. It gave you a feeling of, yes, we're still there. So it was wonderful to be able to have that privilege of going there and staying in that house. And it actually, our mother foundress actually lived there. So it has, a lot of history there. And the only thing I didn't like, and I suppose I should like, they have kept her heart in like a chalice or something, and it's in a tabernacle, and every now and again they bring it out. Well, I didn't like seeing that. It wasn't really my kind of thing, but anyway, it was a sacred thing, so we endured it.